this may be the first podcast that we're going into that I pretty much have no idea what's happening. And I'm going to like surrender to that and just call it what it is.
You're just going to let it happen?
Yeah, because I feel like that's like a good mantra for this. It's like, just go with it. Like,
How good are you with spooky stuff?
Oh, I'm terrified. Like this is going to work.
Okay.
Have I told you guys about the history of this building that we're recording in? Before us, it was the greenhouse, vintage furniture, lots of old stuff, Bonnie Prince Billy, Nora Jones, lots of concerts. Before that, weird hippie pizza shop. Who knows what they were doing in here then? Before that, people have told me this building's like, 150 or something years old per the PVA. Old, strange, like sectarian Pentecostal church. Who the heck knows what's been happening here in these like last 150, 200 years. So
yeah, it's crazy that you told that story earlier and it was Protestant and now it's Pentecostal. So in my old Kentucky home.
Kentucky. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. My name is Michael Moeller. I'm joined tonight by one David Satterley, John Renane. We are also joined by one Katie Jo Glesing, possible psychic vampire and co-founder of Boo812. At least that's what your bio said. Katie, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to get into some fun things tonight, some things that we're not really used to like hearing and seeing, and you're going to be our guide on that journey. It's we're not quite in October spooky season yet, but as we were talking about earlier before we hit the record button, it's kind of always spooky season, depending on who you are. Just like, early and earlier throughout the year, it seems that people release pumpkin beers in Oktoberfest earlier and earlier. So we just decided to roll with it, match the Oktoberfest beers that are currently out with some spooky season stories with Katie. And Katie, we're going to open up the show the same way that we always open up our shows with a beer to share amongst us. And this one, David, is coming from...
This beer is from Monarch Beer Company. It is their Kaiser von Schnitzelberg. I'm also not turning over the show notes, so we're just gonna let this one go. We're going with that. But I do know what this beer is. We got it today off of a partial keg. Thanks, buddy. This is a fantastic Oktoberfest. Tiptoes the line between a Marzen and a Fest beer. So typically you would have a little bit of Pils malt and a little bit of Munich malt and a lot of Vienna malt. And sometimes when you 50-50 that out, you end up with more of a Fest beer, a lighter beer. This is going to pour a little darker, but it is very delicious and leans towards that Marzen side. So we're getting a little sneak peek action here. And even though it is off a small partial K, it is very good.
And if I'm not mistaken, we had the other David from Gravely on the podcast a couple of weeks back, and we drank their Oompa, and we were recalling about a year ago, probably close to the date, where we were here together drinking Oktoberfest out of Straws Blind. From my review of the tapes, I think Kaiser von Schnitzelberg was our favorite blind straw. You remember when that was like a meme? Everybody was drinking things like from in a cardboard box with
in the
tubes.
shadow box, where you couldn't see the other side of it. But the weird part about it, when we tasted this, I think both you and I called it out immediately without knowing. We're like, that's Kaiser, because it tastes the way it does. So I'm excited for it to come back this year. And like Michael said, these things come out earlier and earlier. So like maybe Oktoberfest in July next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just push it up. Christmas is in July now too. So
what was the first Oktoberfest you guys saw on the shelves? I know what mine was.
It's always Boston Beer Company.
Really?
Like,
okay. I saw Rheingeist first this year.
What about Sierra Nevadas goes out really early. We even had a group chat between a couple of friends that were like, hey, like, when do I buy it so that when I wait until September to drink it, it's good, because it sells out so fast. And I think last year was one of the years I fell in love with the seasonal style. So I'm excited to have this again.
Yeah, funny enough, the last time I think we had some kind of a spooky essence to this show. We were actually in the cellar of Monarch last October. We did a Halloween episode down in the barrel aging cellar. There were candles, all the lights were off. We were just like cobwebs everywhere. So that was really fun. You would have loved it down there.
It sounds awesome.
It was that history behind the building is very old and storied. It's basically where the first Kroger was in Louisville, and that's when Kroger was just like a small corner store. So very, very fun. As we drink this beer and enjoy it, Katie, can you also tell us a little bit about Boo812?
Yeah, so Boo812 is myself and 2 other lady friends, and 812 is the area code. It's also known as Boob12 to our friends who write it in fun fonts.
I should have made that connection earlier. I'm disappointed in myself. That's awesome.
So the 3 of us had been on an academic paranormal research team that started out of a parapsychology class at Ivy Tech and IU Southeast. We stuck with that for about 10 years, and we're doing academic paranormal research. So setting up basically field science at different locations. So like Red Yeti is one that we went and set up a whole field setting to investigate. And we basically were like, academia is really rigid, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that we're finding out that we want to tell people about, and we don't want them to have to pay to read a journal to get this information. So we started Boo812 and teach ghost hunting courses. We do paranormal experiences, and we basically just show up around town and do spooky stuff.
And you're kind of in the Kentuckiana region here in Louisville and southern Indiana.
Oh yeah. So we'll go maybe up to like 4 hours away. So we've gone to like Bobby Mackey's out in eastern Kentucky. For the parapsychology course, we went all the way from like Virginia to New Orleans and back up. So we get around.
Yeah.
And so you said you studied this, you've done it for a podcast, but you've also done it academically.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you find that major? How did you get into this whole thing?
So I'm a communication major from IU Southeast. That's what my bachelor's is in. And I think I just saw a flyer for it and was like, ghosts, I have to go. Like, so I took the course and just kind of stuck with it. It was just an offering that they had at IU Southeast as a upper level psychology credit.
So we don't often talk about the paranormal on this podcast. We did, aliens a few weeks ago. I don't think aliens are that's a totally different category than paranormal, in my opinion.
They're all kind of, who
it's
knows?
Woo, we said, is like a broad overarching, but paranormal would have more to do with like spirits or energies or whatever. There's like cryptozoology, which would have more to do with like XZ, whatever they call those things, cryptids and whatnot. Aliens to me is its own thing. But was that something you were interested in before you saw the flyer? What made that jump out at you?
So my parents are weird. Like our comfort movie was The Lost Boys.
You're in good company.
Like we just have a lot of, I don't want to say we have a lot of death in the family, but it's something like we celebrate life. So my parents were always into ghost hunting. I was into ghost hunting. Like my mom used to take us to cemeteries and just snap pictures and
see if there's like an orb in the photo or something.
We don't do orbs.
No.
So
we don't do orbs, Michael.
It's just dust. Well, it's not just dust. So they're just so hard to disprove that like we don't even touch orbs. Like my family doesn't. I think one time we were down in a Pensacola cemetery. She snapped a picture. She was like, "Oh, it's a soldier," and it was like, Is it a lens flare? Is it a bug? So we just don't do orbs.
So I'll lead off with my interpretation, because people have strong opinions about the woo category of things, and some people are just hard died on one side of it, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, science, Sam Harris, rationalist, whatever. Other people kind of come at it from the other perspective. You could start with there's accounts of paranormal activity throughout all of history, going back to the Sumerians, through the Greeks and Romans. Obviously, the Egyptians had a lot. And then it kind of got a resurgence in America in the kind of turn of the century times with what do they call that? The
Sleepy Hollow.
The spiritualist movement?
Yeah. What are they, it was the
Yes,
not panpsychism, but the philosophical. I'll think of it in a little while. But like Madame Blavatsky and all those folks who kind of had the resurgence of that type of mysticism and stuff like that. And what it is today, where did you enter the story of the paranormal? Was there a moment that you were like, okay, my mom's showing me all this stuff as a kid, but now it's kind of something more interesting to me? Is it something that maybe there was never a moment? Maybe it just felt like the water that you were swimming in growing up? Tell us kind of just what your personal story was that led you to want to pursue this as, what you do more or less on a night to night basis.
So I feel like it's something that I've always been interested in. In 4th grade, my parents helped me make a poster board in 4th grade about Lizzie Borden.
Yes.
It was like so
All
cool.
right.
It had like a black background, the little axes like crossed.
Lizzie Borden
like,
took an axe, gave her husband 40 whacks.
gave her father 40 wax.
Father 40 whacks.
When she
Something
saw what
said
she
he
had
had
done,
done
she gave her mother
41.
I think it was mother and father
That's right.
switched.
Yeah,
but,
Thank you.
But I don't know that I believe that Lizzie Borden did it.
Oh.
So I was into it like that. I had a crush on one of the ghost hunters for a minute, and then just kind of was like, oh, I can kind of do my own thing here. Like I can be spooky, and then I can have my daytime life, and I can have my nighttime life, and sometimes they cross paths, and I've been on that cross path ever since.
I know the whole point of Boo812 is to kind of bring the experience to the people. What experiences did you have though in that academic, research and in school? Like, what were you doing?
Ghost hunting. So it started out as a classroom component. There are full textbooks on parapsychology. Courtney Block, who is one of the other members of Boo812, has actually written 2 different books. One is the Encyclopedia of Parapsychology, and one is Researching the Paranormal, that tells people where to find the credible evidence. One thing that you constantly hear as a paranormal enthusiast or paranormal researcher is, I'll believe it when there's evidence. There is a stack of evidence out there that, we don't know what's happening. It shouldn't be, but it is. And that's really everything in paranormal is we don't know what's happening, but it is. And then once you find out what it is, it kind of gets slashed into another category. So it'll get thrown over into neuroscience, or it'll get thrown over into physics. And it just kind of evolves. It's an ever evolving field. And so the first component of that course was the textbook reading about like energy healing, about Qigong, about different cultural traditions and how they use magic, different death care traditions, which I think I was a short stint away from working on the fringes of death care after that. I'm not sure. Can we
talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So right after this course, I started working at a funeral college and had access to the whole funeral college's library. So it just kind of started with this class, or it started as being a spooky weird kid. I took this class and then it just spiraled out of control. But the second half of that course, so like there was half book learning, half we got an RV, traveled the East Coast of the United States, and went to different field locations. And while we were here, we went to like the Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana, which has some really good evidence. Like we have done research papers on the stuff that happens there. Went to Bobby Mackey's. We went to Waverly, of course. I've got a really cool, I don't know what it is picture, but it shouldn't be their picture from Waverly. And we just learned all the field techniques to make sure that, hey, if I take this one picture, I've got to take a second picture under the same conditions. So that way we know what it's supposed to look like and what it did look like. So that way there's less room for error. We also learned how to account for chance, like different statistics measures, and how to really cover all our bases so people can't be pseudo-skeptic.
Because you said academia was like incredibly rigid.
Yes.
And you had to follow these guidelines where, in my opinion, like the paranormal is not supposed to be explained. It's just kind of there. And you're trying to transform it into something that is digestible and explained and between narrow boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost like you're, like in a way, kind of disproving it. Because like you said, you're just trying to show people that you can't just be on the fringe and just take things as face value. It's
Well, the problem in science too, so even back before, I guess Maxwell was the person who started experimenting with magnetism, but magnetism was thought of as kind of a parapsychological, parascientific. They didn't even use the word scientific back then. Force, and then I think it was James Clerk Maxwell, and who started playing around with those things to show that electricity and magnetism are actually interrelated, and figuring out what that relationship was. And eventually, people came along and wrote the equations and stuff like that. Maybe there is something into the paranormal that we're experiencing it. It's something that people, play around with is probably not the right word that people, that the spirits would want to hear. Yeah, people do. But maybe there is something that we just don't exactly quite understand how to quantify yet.
Right.
Because it's not exactly interacting in the same way that we are with photons and electromagnetism and strong force and weak force in the way that we experience the world. But you hear the reports and I mean, maybe it's even purely psychological. Maybe it's only interacting in that realm, which I mean, any honest scientist would have to admit that we don't understand that stuff at all. We're only birthing ourselves into understanding that realm. How do you think about the fact that this stuff is real, but not quote unquote like replicable?
So it is. It
Sure.
is. There are quite a few different topics in parapsychology that you can repeat. For instance, the Ryan Research Institute used to be part of Duke University. Princeton had the Princeton. It was Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab.
Yeah. Okay.
Nailed it.
That one. Got it.
But it was part of their engineering school. So like they really did work at folding these in and published quite a great number of studies. So kind of back to your comment about the aliens, they do absolutely come into parapsychology and paranormal experiences. Cryptozoology and all of that. It's like paranormal is the umbrella term, and then all of it kind of falls underneath it because there's are you familiar with the little green men in Kelly, Kentucky?
Well, remind me.
So there was a farm down in Kelly, Kentucky. I think that's just north of Hopkinsville. I'm from Indiana. Sure. I don't really know. But
we go by counties in Kentucky. I don't know.
There was a family at a farm, and none of them had been drinking. None of them had been indulging in anything else. They were just kind of like playing cards, sitting around for the night. And these little creatures just kind of took over the farm, and they started shooting at them, and the bullets started going off of them. And so there's a Little Green Man Festival in Kelly, Kentucky, and it's definitely one of the more famous events in parapsychology, kind of like Mothman falls under parapsychology. Love Mothman. He has the shiniest buns.
I've been to Mothman country. I have. Yeah, we went out. We had a family reunion. It's been a few years, but no, he was. It's out in eastern Kentucky, like up towards like Ashland. We were at Jenny Wiley State Park, which is like up that way, where it's inside of his like wing zone or whatever.
His wing zone.
Yeah. Great.
I'm not familiar with the Little Green Man. I'm only familiar with the Green Giant that's on the can of green beans.
The Jolly Green Giant?
Yeah.
Well, that's all based off of. Yeah, that's all based off.
I was
of
asking
like,
her.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Tell me your story.
Well, that's like the Green Man. That's like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Like that's all like the Oak and the Holly King and the
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Oak King. That's all like the Green Man of the Woods.
Like Asheville.
The Wild Hunt. Yeah.
You just blew my mind because we have a Green Man in our home. Like we have Green Man stuff going on.
Like the
I
Oak
didn't realize.
King. Yeah.
And did you all know that there's like a statue of Pan in Cherokee Park?
Yes.
No.
It's so weird. Like
Maybe?
there is so much occultism and so much woo stuff going on in Louisville.
When you say woo, do you mean like Wu-Tang, woo girl? Like, let's define woo because John said it earlier, you said it,
and I didn't know, so
I didn't know.
So woo. Okay, let me figure out how the nicest way to say it.
How did the normies take it?
Let's spell it first. Can we spell it?
Yes, WOO, and usually it's woo woo.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an adjective. So someone is being woo woo. Is that an adjective? Did I do English right?
It would describe a noun. So a thing would be woo.
Okay.
I think it could probably be a verb too, but it's usually like an adjective. It would describe what something is.
Yeah, and so Finn,
a property of something.
So I've also been working. One of the other things Boo812 has done is we've been working on a docuseries with a local filmographer. Her name is Finn, and she has a podcast called Follow the Woo, and it's just follow all the paranormal stuff. But it's a term of endearment, essentially. A woo-woo is someone who follows the woo. They are into the weird stuff, whether it be occultism, whether it be Mothman, whether it be ghosts, like it's all woo.
But these days too, I think it also comes into like quantum mechanics and like Eckhart Tolle kind of
near-death
like vibes.
experiences. Hospice care can be pretty woo-woo sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, death care was...
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Everything that's like lost by if you guys are not on YouTube, you're not seeing my scare quotes, but like the mainstream like understanding of reality. As what do they say in Hamlet? Like there are way more things in heaven and hell than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
John.
Yeah, it's no. That's what it is. That's woo.
My dad is an English teacher, so I need to give him a big thanks because I knew your quote, which was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
You said something really interesting that I do want to revisit before we even hit the record button, was that how you were doing an experiment in undergrad in like a 4-room experiment?
Yeah, so we did a seance experiment at IU Southeast. So like this is IRB approved. That's the internal review board. So it was being published in academic paranormal research articles. And what we did is we set up a seance. We met like every Thursday at 7 p.m. once it got dark and was spooky enough. And 4 of us would sit around.
That's a technical. There's like a spookiness ratio.
Like we hung up curtains. Like we made it a production and hung up black curtains. Got. I don't think we did a Ouija board, but we did. We tried to replicate Bachelador's experiments on tilting tables, which is where everyone puts their hands on the table, starts getting real woo-woo, saying weird stuff, and like the table moves. We're actually doing a live on that Friday. It's gonna come out before this one does, but. It's going to be spooky and fun. But essentially, we all decided we're going to summon this ghost. Here's what this ghost's criteria is. Read its fact sheet. And we all basically tried to create a ghost in the room. And we had 4 different rooms measured, 3 or 4 different rooms measured within the physical sciences plant basement. And most of what we got is, oh man, my stomach hurts. Yeah, my stomach hurts too. Or I feel like something's watching me. Yeah, that corner's looking really suspicious right now. And like there was a lot of psychosomatic stuff that happened just when you get a group together doing weird stuff.
Or there's a ghost in the room.
Or there was a ghost in the room. But the geomagnetic field of just the room that we were in changed. So none of the other rooms, just the room that we were in. What does that mean? I don't know. Did it correlate with the time when we were all like, that corner's looking real suspicious? Yes. What does that mean though?
What do you think it means?
I don't know. I think it means that something was happening that changed the geomagnetic field of the room, but I truly do not know what that means. I would like to further study it, but that's why I'm a grad student right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that things like that like increase in intensity with practice? Like normal like meditative yoga type deal. I mean, I love that stuff. And like, I know the more you do it, the more in tune you get, the better you feel about it. And also just the results of it just multiply as you practice.
Yeah. And I think you're onto something, because the Rhine Institute out towards Duke University, they were part of Duke University up until like the 1980s, and then they separated because they were too woo-woo. And people were like, I don't want to be affiliated with that. That's creepy.
I love this term, by the way.
Yeah.
But at the Rhine Institute, they have a completely dark room where they had a video camera behind like a double wall, so it wasn't emitting light into the room. And they found out people who were regularly meditating. So you had everyone from like martial artists to people who were spiritual practitioners to people who did energy healing or like Reiki or Qigong. And they actually started becoming bioluminescent. They were producing light.
Like an aura.
Visible light.
Yeah.
So auras are visible to some, not to others. Some people can feel auras. Some people see it as color. Some people smell auras. Like, I don't know what that's
Liars.
about. But
that's a new
I
one
hope
for
I
me.
smell good. Like, but yeah, just the fact that people who were practicing that regularly started emitting light is kind of an indication that that's maybe a road we want to go down to figure out if weird stuff happens if you keep practicing weird stuff.
Obviously, you're not just out here on an island by yourself. It sounds like there's a whole group of communities across the United States, across the world, etc. What is the community like here in our little, Kentuckiana portion of the nation?
Absolutely freaking terrifying.
Why?
I love them. So there's a lot of activity going on here. So you have like Louisville Film Society, you have great film stipends. There are initiatives in the area, and supposedly like the Ohio River Valley creates some sort of weird energy. You're also
Mammoth Cave is one of those like vortexes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's right above the Pennyroyal. So like I've got my bag back here from the International Paranormal Museum. there's a podcast called Pennyroyal Podcast where they talk about the quartz overlay or underlay. There's a layer of quartz underneath the ground that correlates. Now, correlate does not cause
correlation is not causation.
Thank you. There's a higher level of like mental illness above these quartz deposits, and I'm pretty sure like the Mammoth Cave system is one of the top places people go missing, kind of without a trace.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember what we were talking about.
John, tell us where you grew up.
So I grew up in Louisville, but I spent a lot of time in Eastern Kentucky and a lot of time in Asheville. Not close to Mammoth Cave, though.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So have you seen Hellier?
No.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch Hellier. They are of that area. So like below Cincinnati and in Eastern Kentucky, they go in and explore high strangeness. So like there's woo-woo if you are being informal, and a high strangeness if you're being kind of more formal or a little snobby about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm one of those snobby people. Yeah.
I love them both. Like, but it's great. It starts out about goblins.
Okay.
Then it evolves into a beautiful masterpiece.
I've been fixated on this for the last couple of minutes. There's an International Paranormal Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky.
Yes.
What is that like?
It's amazing. I had one of the weirdest paranormal experiences when I was just there to visit. Like, I've got a video of it on my TikTok because we just went down there to see the Moonbow at Cumberland, which is fabulous. There's so much weird stuff here that you just don't find in other areas of the country. It's in a library. It's in a library basement, and people just mail these folks at the International Paranormal Museum. Sorry, I had to make sure I was getting my words in the right order. They just mail them weird stuff like, hey, this doll is haunted. It blinks at me. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, here's this documentary that only messes up on the 12th Tuesday of the year. Like, I guess that's a December Tuesday or something. No, that's not. I can't do math.
I don't think that's how it works, but yeah.
I'm with you.
I do communications and not math. But when we were in there was a documentary playing about the Bell Witch. And I, after this, found out that there are bells in my family tree that my mom kind of found through Ancestry, and we did DNA testing. I don't know if I'm related to the Bell Witch family, but there is a John Bell in our
so you're
tree.
saying you just did a DNA test and you're 100% bad witch?
Maybe. I hope so, but the witch wasn't actually of the Bell family. She just haunted the Bell family, unfortunately.
I thought I had a good joke.
I mean, it's still great. But there was a documentary about the Bell Witch playing, and we walked into that room. There's like 4 or 5 different rooms you can walk in. One's like cryptid related, one's paranormal dolls related, one's ghost hunting equipment history related. And in the room playing the documentary like paused on a scream, went total blue screen, and we were like, okay, that's a little weird. We start looking at some of the cameras on the wall, like the old photo cameras that they used to use for like they were like the double exposure cameras where people used to see ghost writing on the film. And the lights started flickering in the case. And we were like, okay, this is weird. So I literally like walked out to the attendant and I was like, will you stop messing with us? Mm-hmm. Like, you're kind of freaking me. Don't. And she was like, so I actually can't control any of those. Like, they're all on one main switch. And when I flip the switch, they all go out. None of them should be going out one by one. And I was like, all right, I'm going to walk back in this room. And if you're messing with me, I'm about to be really upset. Because I love this stuff, but I'm a big baby. Like, things scare the crap out of me. So we go back in, start looking around again, start looking at the doll case. And I hear this clicking. And behind me, there's like a bookshelf with a bunch of paranormal books, and the bookshelf light is flickering. So I like whip out my camera and start recording, and I'm like, this attendant is really messing with me. So I walked back out and I was like, come in here. And she walked in and she saw it happening, and she was like, there is no way for this to be happening. They all have individual switches, but they're all plugged into one. So I'm not kidding you. Like, I flip one switch and they all go out. They cannot be going out one by one. And I was just like, I'm really skeptical of this. And then it just kept happening. So it was weird. It's one of those things where I'm like, I can't tell if she's messing with me.
Right. Yeah. And back to your point too, David, there doesn't have to always be like a rational explanation because it goes beyond rationality sometimes. And I think that's kind of what we miss when we try to understand these things or like overly intellectualize them. It's something that's happening.
But I
can't
too
explain
am a giant baby when it comes to that stuff.
Oh, not me, baby. Get me in there.
How does the community as a whole react and respond to like October, like spooky season? Is it a heightened sense, or is it more just say, look at all these normies like kind of making light of the situation?
So historically, it is a time when the veil is thin, and that's cross culturally. Yes. And did you say Samhain? Okay. There's a movie that's Hell Comes to Frogtown, and at first I thought you said Sam Hell, which is the name of the protagonist from that. Watch that movie and then comment about it.
Okay.
It's the original feminist Barbie movie.
All right. Okay. Deal.
Might get absolutely slayed for saying that, but it was the first attempt.
We got your back.
A super feminist movie. Roddy Piper is the main character. It was great.
The wrestler?
Yes.
Rowdy
Yes.
Piper?
Yes.
Jeez, I did not expect this episode to have a wrestling tie-in.
It always does.
And here we are.
But yeah, so it's basically seen as a time that the veil is thin. So those of us who are, spooky witches, we celebrate all year round. But there are key times during the calendar when that veil is supposed to be extra thin and you're supposed to be able to do extra communicating with the deceased or the beyond. I personally tend to be in the camp that I don't necessarily think that the beyond is communicating with us. I think that we are projecting what we want to happen and manifesting it.
Like our sense is more heightened and therefore we're looking for this?
No, like we're creating phenomenon. So I tend to be in the PK category. Like I think that there is a lot more human
Define the PK category.
Psychokinesis.
Uh-huh.
So most people are more familiar with the term telekinesis, moving stuff with your mind. So like I'm looking at this cup, it's moving.
I do that. Yeah.
You do that?
No, he doesn't.
But theoretically, if we all are sitting here and getting each other hyped up and we're like, oh, there's a ghost in this room, it's going to make something happen. And we're all looking at that cup expecting it to move. There are studies that have shown that if that cup moves, we're all going to go, oh my God, it's a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more inclined to think, hey, we just got 4 people hyper fixated on an object and it moved. Maybe we're doing something, like maybe we're flexing a muscle that we don't typically flex.
Because the first is kind of like a confirmation bias of
Right.
like you expect, so then you see. And the latter is more of like an actual effort
Right.
that you just don't recognize.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I go on a tangent?
No.
There could be an evolutionary benefit to like a species that believes that can happen. So whether or not it's true or not, if we're all sitting here getting each other hyped up on whether or not we can make this cup move as a group, humans interact as a group. We're like a social species. Like we would have not evolved as like individual monkeys trying to fight tigers and shit. But so there, even if this is like the appendix of it, when we're trying to like, when our brains go into hyperdrive, it's true that if 4 people sit in a room together and fixate their brains on trying to create like Boo812 podcast or like Louisville Ale Trail, that's how things become manifest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no logical explanation for how that stuff happens either.
I think it's called critical thinking.
Well,
What you just described.
no,
was
I
critical
disagree.
thinking.
I mean, it is, but it's also, there's that little bit of like the beyond. There's that still small voice that is not accounted for in the scientific model.
Well, that just made my stomach drop. And sometimes when I get that feeling, the only thing that can fix it is actually just a nice, refreshing Underberg. It's a great digestive. Katie, are you familiar with Underberg?
I am familiar with Underberg.
It's a fantastic, community of they've created a community.
Yes.
I read on the internet on my own blog earlier today that Hubert Underberg was also a spiritualist. I will look up.
Really?
Well, I'll look up I'm not sure about that.
I don't think that's confirmed.
Yeah,
but
it's not
I can
confirmed.
confirm that this herbal digestive was created with herbs from over 40 countries, and for over 175 years, people have unwrapped these tiny bottles after a good meal or beer, or spooky stories, telling things, whatever, experiencing not just its complex character, but a delightful feeling of well-being. As John mentioned, it was founded by Hubert Underberg in 1846.
Spiritualist.
This aromatic drink has been enjoyed by those seeking a pleasant sensation after indulgence. Made with care and matured in Slovakian oak, Underberg's herbal blend is a tradition handed down through 5 generations of excellence. There's probably a ghost story somewhere within those 5 generations.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do Underberg people listen or watch this?
Yes.
Make a Ouija board. Make a Ouija board. I want an Underberg Ouija board. Please make a Ouija board.
How many caps? My
I
only
mean,
Please
question
send
is
me an Underberg Ouija board.
how many
Patrick,
caps?
if you're listening, make a Ouija board.
We will do we'll make our own, and then we'll use it to determine how many
I don't
caps it should be.
actually. This is coming from a deep recess of my mind, and I think this is just something I read a long time ago, or maybe I'm misremembering. But I think Underberg's also like a region or mountainous region in Germany, and there are some occult-ish type of things that happen there. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that might be the case. Either way, Underberg is actually celebrating their 160th anniversary this August 29th. By the time this podcast is already out, I think. I don't know
not exactly.
Not exactly. Either way,
Close enough.
August 29th, you can embrace the feeling of comfort and relaxation it brings with us. If you haven't had one before, be sure to ask your bartender for once a day or visit www.underberg.com.
And I treat this stuff like Windex. Like it fixes everything. So I think for my broken finger, this is going to help.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or for any spiritual ails as well.
Yep, spiritual ales.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. Happy Underberg break.
You all do this so synchronized. Like I was like, what the hell are you all doing?
You're doing just fine. This is our cult.
Yeah, this is our cult.
This is our woo.
I will rep Underberg so
Underberg's
hard
good
if
for
they
you.
make a Ouija board.
Same here.
Like, why not?
I think that's totally
Why
appropriate.
not?
Um,
Is the right question.
yeah. Well, I know that we just enjoyed an Underberg, which means that we can also probably enjoy something else to drink. Katie, before we started recording, I had asked if you could bring something for us to enjoy.
How do you want me to logistically make this drink?
We'll we'll bring you everything that you need, and then you can kind of walk us through it. If
Okay.
that works.
I'm
You
actually
can also
gonna
talk about the drink and got cups and
Okay. I see pomegranate juice.
pomegranate and a bag full of CBD.
Let us know how we can be helpful.
Okay.
And talk us through.
I don't know how to use this.
Right. So you put everything in here.
Muller, she wants you to shake it.
Yes.
Will you please shake it?
Shake it, Muller.
I can do that.
So throw some of this in there, however much you want.
This is a
Palm. What a delightful beverage.
This is academia at its rigidness.
Okay.
This is why we branched out from.
I mean, what do you mean? How much I want? Like, are we talking about like a couple
enough
ounces?
enough
or?
for all of us to have a cup,
Okay.
if
2
that'll
ounces.
work.
Okay.
8 ounces.
So I'm really surprised you invited me to be on the show because I cannot drink. And I know I am in that position that many others are in. I have a disability that's genetic that makes me a mutant. It is a mutation that makes me a mutant, but all the collagen in my body is defective and my stomach is paralyzed. So I take some medicines that react with alcohol. So I get defaulted to being the designated driver every time I go anywhere with people. So one of the things that I've really missed out on is mocktails. So this is going to be a non-alcoholic drink. Being a fragile baby like I am, I also have a lot of pain affiliated with the disorders that I have. So I have a gastric pacemaker or a gastric stimulator. It shocks my stomach into working. And I actually just had surgery on July 27th. So like I'm rocking 6 incisions, don't have pain meds, and I love me some CBD. I actually went to the geneticist a couple weeks ago and she suggested CBD. So I stopped to get some of this wild CBD blend. and it is a sparkling CBD water. So if you want to throw some sparkle in there, go for it.
Put some sparkle in it, Michael.
And then I have some edible glitter.
Some dazzle dust.
Some dazzle dust.
All right.
So it will be beautiful.
So is it just these two ingredients as far as the liquid goes?
Yes. And then we're going to throw some herb into it.
All right. So then in that case,
I love
pour
herb.
a little bit more. Really, just mixing would have been pretty good too. Just do a 1-to-1 ratio and see what happens.
CBD is another one of those things that falls into that category of things that a few years ago, it's kind of coming to its own now, but people used to say, no, marijuana is just marijuana. It's just people getting high. And they would deny like what people were saying is like, actually it helps my pain. Actually it helps my like joints. Actually it helps my digestion. Actually it helps my mental health. And like, I guess, MAPS was one of the first like organizations that started actually applying scientific rigor to things like that. And through clinical trials and through just like, go for it more.
It's carbonated.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, whatever.
Maybe a mixer is not what I should. Oh, you're
No. Mueller knows how to do what he's doing.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. It's fine.
But CBD is legit. I really enjoy like a nice, like, we had Tommy John's on a while back, and he had those like CBD rolls that pre-roll things that he was doing with Weightless.
Alter.
Yeah. I really like them. It's just a relaxing thing. It has no...
There's a therapeutic benefit to it all, but I mean CBD. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and like she swears by it. And then whenever I travel, she's like, "Hey, can you bring me back stuff?" But I'm not trying to get like messed up. Yeah. But like, I mean, the real like medical benefit is incredibly noticeable and very reasonable.
More sparkly.
Yeah.
When considered to like pharmaceutical medications. Prescribed on the whole.
I agree, and I actually like CBD more than I like the whole THC thing too. Because
you guys know how much I talk in the minority.
Now.
So
well, when I do THC, I talk way more, and I get like hyper brain. But like CBD is the like I wouldn't say downer, but it's like the like L-theanine to the caffeine of like THC to like whatever.
If you say any more science terms without the actual explanation, I'm just gonna explode.
Listen,
my head.
bro.
Yeah,
This is bro science is like the male version of woo, by the way. So
bro science.
Yeah, bro science
like
is
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Take some mint.
A legit scientific field as well.
Yeah. Do you have? What's
smack
the
it.
best way to
smack
serve
it.
this?
This is dazzling.
It should be beautiful.
So this I would have probably, maybe served over some rocks as well, but
the mint smells very good.
The rocks don't taste good though.
I want to
What?
make sure that
He said
That's true.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that everybody gets.
Get some mint.
I got a pretty big sprig over here.
Ooh, you could stir with your sprig.
Yes,
That's what I
yes,
did.
will.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, spank it.
Mueller, don't spank the mint. No.
Will my liver digest this glitter?
Yes.
Okay.
It is actually also health beneficial. So it's essence of pearl, and pearl has magnesium and calcium in it.
I love magnesium.
I also
is
love
great.
some
I take it
magnesium.
every night.
Yeah?
I sleep fantastic, even like after drinking, but even prior, I sleep deep and I sleep long, and it's great.
Oh,
Isn't it
very
beautiful?
sparkly.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. And actually the mint is a perfect garnish too.
Yeah.
Because it captures the light. It's reflecting off the glitter inside of the palm and CBD. And yeah, we're all going to sleep very well tonight.
Well, cheers, Katie. Thanks for sharing this with
Cheers.
us.
And this little mocktail we have dubbed the Blood Oath because Boo812 was invited to partake in a docuseries that's being filmed here and around Louisville called New Blood. And there's a second series by the same production company called Inhuman Beings. So they're just looking into the unknown, looking into the ridiculously large vampire population that is in Louisville.
Hoping you're going to get to that. Yes.
Yes. So this is the I forgot the best part.
Uh-oh.
No.
I forgot the best part.
I feel like something vampiric is about to happen. I thought, okay. All
I
right.
got some
Oh, yeah.
So you all can have
I
some.
was wondering
tea.
where those
Do
were.
we put them in our mouths or are they
I
a
don't
garnish as well?
So earlier I threw some red dye into it and made it extra fun. If you want to take one, take one, pass it around. So
we're just not going to share them all, or
we're all just gonna share the same one. So I guess it'll be extra vampiric if you try to drink with these in. like,
This cocktail just suddenly got a lot. Oh, I see why you talk like this now.
oh no, my lips.
This reminds me of a retainer that I didn't wear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can.
All right. Well, for the sake of the sip.
You talk like Sean Connery with these.
Yeah, you do sound like Sean Connery. Well, that is a delightful cocktail. Yep. Sparkly, bubbly, berry forward, lots of pomegranate coming through. The glitter, I think, is healing me from the inside out.
There we go.
The
Isn't
mint
that
is a
beautiful?
perfect garnish. Yeah.
The
And
mint motif.
actually, that's the way to do it, right?
I committed to the bit, but yeah.
Did you actually drink it with a mint?
Yeah, it's on the
Oh.
camera there. So,
There's evidence.
yeah. See, that's science, because I did it.
Yeah.
I could do it again to repeat my...
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, do it again.
We believe you.
I don't. Repeat your experiment, sir.
It really did just feel like Invisalign or something.
Did you have a retainer? I had a retainer as a kid.
I just never wore it.
Flashbacks.
Which
Yeah,
is
same
why
here.
my teeth are still messed up.
Did you ever lose it in the cafeteria?
No.
I did.
Yeah, you
I
did it.
witnessed that.
Traumatic.
That was great.
No, I think mocktails are incredibly important to the beverage community. If your bartender knows just even 2 or 3 ingredients like this to make something that's just a little bit different than my go-to, and I think David's is too, is sometimes just like seltzer and bitters, which is so ridiculously easy. Any bartender can do that, but also can just get a little boring at times. So if they know off the top of their head, like maybe a 3 to 4 ingredient mocktail just to mix things up a little bit for
I love
anybody.
like some kombucha based mocktails too, like some
Kombucha.
kombucha, some CBD water, some bitters.
Mhm.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
All stuff that's good for you.
If you aren't serving something non-alcoholic in your place of business, you should be, because there's people that have unknown biases, conditions, whatever.
Or
and
just taking some time off too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you
yeah,
know.
or they just have, a derelict, and they're like, we're not doing this today. Like, fine.
Yeah. Honestly, that's been a hard part. So, like, by day, I'm the corporate outreach coordinator at the College of Business at U of L. So I go to a lot of networking events. There's a lot of like 5 o'clock, 5:48s, 5:05s. And it's been actually really hard to find non-drinking events, or like you ask the bartender, hey, can you make me a mocktail? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Do you want some
cranberry juice.
Coke?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh man,
They offered you cocaine when you asked for a mocktail?
I wish that would have been a party.
That's
I can't. Oh, so you can't drink, but you can do this.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had this discussion before, but even just as something as simple as having more hop water available. This Hop Splash from Sierra Nevada is something I was just drinking. We went to a Great Taste of the Midwest in Madison, Wisconsin, and one of the things that I really appreciated that in this little brewers vendor area, just for the brewers, but I think that other people could get it too, but they specifically had hop water available for all the brewers, because they're just like, you're going to be drinking all day.
Yeah.
Have something else, please.
Mhm.
Right.
You're hot, you're thirsty, like you've been drinking beer. Here's something just to have. And sometimes that one thing that you drink in between like a bunch of beers can be the thing that's like, oh yeah, I've just been like drinking beer as a
It's
force of
mindless.
habit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whereas I mean, literally, the hop waters are getting better and better every time. I know Revolution just released one in Chicago, and I haven't had it yet, but by all accounts, reviews are good.
I'm gonna jump on the Great Taste of the Midwest train because you brought it up, but fantastic event put on by the Madison Homebrewers and Tasters Guild. By far the largest beer festival that I've ever been to. Extremely well organized. They're 31 years into this, which is just
Wow.
absolutely insane.
Older than you.
Older than me.
Son of a bitch.
But they put it on like without a hitch, and everything is dialed in, buttoned up, in a beautiful location on the lakeside in Madison. It's a longer beer fest than normal. It's like 5 hours. This is pretty unheard of, but you see people kind of just like, they know what they're there for.
they're
and it's-
Wisconsin nights.
Yeah,
they're
but they're-
Wisconsinians.
They're not there to like get too crazy. They're just there to like experience a lot, because a lot of it comes in. I mean, if you would have told me that a brewery from Louisville was going to be in Madison, Wisconsin, 7.5 hours away, I'd be like, I don't know. That seems like a long way to travel for a beer fest. I can absolutely guarantee that it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, it's a fun one, especially when there's hop water around. Katie, thanks for sharing these mocktails with us.
Yeah, very, very
welcome.
delicious. I really like that a lot.
John, I believe you have compiled a little game for Katie and maybe
Oh, a
us
game?
too.
Well, aside from just getting your side of the story, we always like to have something a
Ooh.
little bit engaging and a little bit interactive. I think I'm just going to kind of go in cold here. So you guys I'm going to read you guys a tale. It actually is based on reality. I told you guys a little bit about the history of the shop earlier, right?
I don't think you did, John. I hadn't heard this one before.
Remember the pre-show notes? The Pentecostal church.
Sure.
It was but now we're in a homebrew shop. There's been a lot of things happening in this very old building. I have had one ghost encounter in here before, so I don't know if you're sensing anything now or not, but anyway, let's kind of go through this. We're going to call this segment The Haunting of Homebrew Shop. If you guys are familiar with The Haunting of Hill House, like that old, I can't remember the name of that author off the top of my head. Shirley Jackson, thank you.
I thought that was Frankenstein.
That's Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley, also a classic. So I have used our old friend ChatGPT to combine The Haunting of Hill House with R.L. Stine's Choose Your Own Adventure novels. And we're going to go through a little story here, and we're going to see if we make it out alive. So if you guys will help me make the decisions here.
Wait, well, who's making this? Katie's making the decision.
Oh, I'm making.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry, y'all.
We'll see. We're going to kind of Oregon Trail this, like as a family.
I'm going to die of dysentery.
that might be an option.
Katie, we trust you with our artificial lives.
Yes. Okay.
Kentucky Common, the haunted homebrew. In the heart of Kentucky, nestled among its gentle hills, the Bubbling Barrel Homebrew Shop, that's actually a good name, exuded charm. Here, the podcast crew, Michael, David, John, and Katie Jo, were eager to delve into the night's tasting. Katie Jo had a mysterious old bottle, its label worn away with time. As they set up, a peculiar shadow fiddled past the window. Dismiss the shadow as a trick of the light and proceed with this podcast. Curious, David decides to peek outside and see if someone's there. What do we choose?
David, you're checking.
Yeah, I'm a nosy bitch. I gotta know.
Choice 2.
I didn't realize you could use Chat GPT for this. This is phenomenal.
I've been fucking around with chat for a long time now. David, curiosity peaked, approaches the window, peering outside. The evening was settling in, and a mist had begun to creep along the ground, but there seemed to be no one there. However, at the edge of the property, an old woman stood, her gaze fixed upon the homebrew shop. She seemed out of place. Well, from Preston Street, so this is all still technically fine. She seemed out of place, dressed in a faded dress that looked decades out of style. Hesitating for a moment, David opened the door, stepping out into the cool autumn air. "Hello? Can I help you?" he called. The old woman slowly lifted her hand, pointing to the mysterious bottle that was on the table inside. "You mustn't open that," she whispered, her voice carrying an urgency. Invite the old woman into the shop to share her story. Head back inside quickly, but still be disturbed by her warning. What do you choose?
Dude, we're leaving her out. We don't invite old ladies in.
Choice 2.
I actually had a really ghostly encounter with an old lady as I was driving home from a hookah bar a long time ago.
Please share.
I was with one of my friends at the time, and we were riding. I was just taking her home at like 2:00 in the morning, and we are on 3rd Street going towards Indiana because we both lived in Indiana, and in the middle of the road was the grayest old woman I have ever seen. And she was just standing like with her arm outstretched in the middle of our lane.
Shit.
So she screams in the passenger seat. I guess the passenger seat is to this side. But she screams, I scream and swerve real hard.
I would have hit her. Yeah.
Like, I'm not fucking with this.
It was so scary. Like, we couldn't tell if she was like trying to flag us down or if she had like, we didn't know what was going on, but we were too scared to turn around and check. And it's one of those things that like I think about from time to time, and I'm like, I'm never driving down that street at night again, because the next time I did, my brakes went out like 2 stoplights up.
Holy shit.
So I've never put those two together before tonight, but it was literally 2 blocks up from where we saw the old lady that my
I will
brakes
say,
went out.
like, as a gray-haired person, every time we try to wave somebody at nighttime, that's exactly what happens. They just like running away. David, unsettled by the woman's words and demeanor, quickly turned on his heels, heading back into the shop. The door clicked shut behind him, and he locked it for good measure. The sense of security it provided, however, was short-lived. "Who is that?" Michael asked, his eyes darting to the window. "Just some I don't know. Someone spouting some nonsense about that bottle, David replied, trying to mask his unease. Katie Jo, her fingers tracing the worn label of the bottle, looked thoughtfully. It's just an old brew, she said, though a hint of doubt tainted her voice. As they tried to regain focus and start the podcast, an eerie tune began playing from the back of the shop. A record player that none of them remembered seeing earlier was now spinning an old hymn. Investigate the source of the music, aiming to turn it off. Try to continue the podcast using the spooky music as a background element. I did tell chat that if we choose wrong, many of us die. So there's a lot riding on this.
Whoa.
Okay.
The stakes are high.
So I'm assuming that your podcast has some deadlines. So we're gonna
The show must go on.
Keep on trucking and do this podcast.
Yeah.
Chat, the show must go on. Try to continue the podcast.
I like that you call it chat. Trying to be nice.
Rocco's Basilisk.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you familiar with that concept?
No, what is that?
So there is a theory that AI is also like sentient, which we haven't proved this yet.
Eventually it will become sentient.
Eventually it will be. But when it does become sentient, it's going to remember
It has
everything
all the backlogs.
that everyone ever talked to it. So
You need to be nice.
You be polite. You say please.
Did you all see Chappie?
Yeah.
Chappie was
Yeah.
awesome.
It was
Yeah.
excellent.
What is Chappie?
Oh my gosh, please
That's
go
by
on.
the same guy who did like District 50, the South African apartheid alien movie.
No, Katie, what is Chappie?
D'Antverd, the band that's absolutely freaking insane and like got accused of like sex trafficking their children and stuff like that. Like
I
have
think you freaky.
fallen off.
Yeah.
yes. So like I was really into them until hearing all of the stuff that they were doing and fell out of enchantment with them. But really aesthetically gothy, really stinking weird South African weird robot movie with their aesthetic. Like, you just go watch it.
It's good.
And
it's very
Hugh
good.
Jackman's in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird.
D'Antverd is the de facto weirdest band I've ever listened to and actually liked. But
Dude, I wanted to shave my head like the girls.
I've
I
seen
can't remember
them.
her name.
It's insane. Like
Yeah?
yeah. And like I put them up there with Guar and then D'Antverd.
Dude, I want a Guar Kesha concert so bad.
Sure.
Start covered in blood, leave covered in glitter.
After a strange tangent on Kesha and the movie Chappie, the crew tried to regain their composure. Well, listeners, it seems like that we have an unplanned ambience for tonight's episode, Michael joked, forcing a laugh. The eerie hymn in the background lent an uncanny atmosphere to the recording. John, ever the professional, went with it. Welcome back to another episode of Kentucky Commons. Tonight we have a very unique setting, it seems. They delved into discussing the mysterious bottle that Katie Jo had brought. As she described its origins, or as much as she knew, the hymn in the background seemed to grow louder and louder and more insistent. Soon, among the gentle melodies of the hymn, another sound could be heard. A soft sobbing, echoing through the walls, growing steadily more palpable. Address the unexplained sound during the podcast, hoping to engage listeners with the mystery. Pause the recording to discuss amongst ourselves what to do next.
Oh, engage the listeners.
Yeah, engage.
Everyone's going down.
Chat, we are going to engage the listeners.
Thank you. Please.
I mean, we love high strangeness. Like, the more people you can... we share the woo at Boo812. Yeah. We got to share this weirdness with our friends.
Woo-woo.
All right, make conversation. Chat's thinking.
I think high strangeness has like multiple different terms, but yours makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
What do you mean by multiple?
I just think like anything that alters your state of consciousness, like puts you in a weird
high strangeness.
Yeah, but it can be influenced by like not even just like regular drugs, but just like maybe you're low on sugar,
high dopamine.
There's all sorts of hormones that like move you through these like sentient like channels, if you will, and you can kind of feel it, and it makes you different. And then you kind of ride that. I always call it riding the wave, but you ride the wave, and then the wave crashes, and then you come back up, and I don't know. There's a lot to it, and I do like that's the part of the woo that I resonate with is just like how to like I don't know if there's ways to like increase your frequency and things like that, but I do think that like sound healing is a thing.
Oh yeah.
And it does. Like sometimes I go to sleep to it. Like it's
like the binaural beats and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
and
Awesome.
like it makes for great sleep, and you wake up and you're a little like confused, but it does feel like some things have like changed. I'm also a big fan of like float tanks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing experience. Primarily,
That also used to be thought as woo.
really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like John Lilly. Like they invented that shit during the CIA, like trying to do that. Like,
Dude, you-
Jedi mind tricks.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If somebody like 50 years ago was like, "Hey, come get in this dark tank full of water with a lid on it," like,
And take LSD probably.
No, you don't even need to do that. Like when your parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system like kicks in, you stop feeling anything and you just like kind of weirdly vibe out there with your nerves. But it gives your sympathetic nervous system that gets all your sense of touch and taste and smell a break. And how do you induce that in any other setting? I'm not totally sure. But for that, when you get out of it, you feel refreshed. Everything is new. Your eyes are bright. Like touching things, feeling things is just like a whole new world for you.
I agree.
it's really cool. Yeah.
Well, thanks, David. Michael leaned closer to his microphone, his voice dropping to a hushed whisper. Dear listeners, we're experiencing some unexpected occurrences tonight. Can you hear that sobbing? We promise this isn't a planned sound effect. This is live. This is happening right now. The sobbing became clearer, more haunting, as if it was beckoning them, drawing them in. John jumped in. If anybody recognizes this as him or has any information about what may be causing these phenomena, please reach out on our Instagram. David, trying to lighten the mood, chimed in with a chuckle. Yeah, if you're a ghost and you're trying to get in touch, just leave us a 5-star review. That actually is what chat said. Yeah, as they joked and speculated, Katie Jo's expression grew increasingly grave. Guys, she whispered, pointing to the bottle. It was slowly starting to frost over from the inside out.
We're gonna drink it.
Pour out a small sample from the bottle, curious about its chilling effect, or decide to put the bottle away and switch topics, feeling it might be left untouched.
Drink it.
Drink.
We gotta drink it. Did y'all see when they were trying to drink the sarcophagus juice from the mummies?
Okay, they should never. They should never have opened those goddamn things up.
You know, there's 4 dead bodies in Louisville that should be returned.
From and to where?
So there's 2 Egyptian mummies that are here in Louisville.
At like the speed or?
So one is at the Science Center. It was decapitated by a piano in a flood.
We're double haunted.
And the other mummy is being, dare I say it, held hostage by the Southern Baptist Seminary,
Holy shit.
who
I
got it
remember
from,
that one. Yeah.
They got it from Walnut Street Baptist Church, who basically traveled to Egypt many, many years ago and just bought it from some guy. They were like, "Hey, can I have that mummy?" Brought it back. That mummy's name translates to something like daughter of the water goddess, which is typically like a practitioner of, so it's like the sisters of Dionysus or like the disciples of whatever. Daughter of a water goddess, and she actually did not get damaged at all by any of the floods. And there are 2 saints at
St. Martin's.
St. Martin's. There's a couple other dead bodies, but if I told you where they were, I'd have to kill you.
Yeah. There's
Yeah, kill me. It's fine.
As far as I,
Chat's
as far
He's
as
gonna die
I,
anyway.
as far as I recall, there are catacombs leading underneath St. Martin de Tours to the old Ursuline Academy too, like running down Shelby Street.
So there's a lot more dead bodies than I even knew about.
A lot more to Louisville than meets the eye.
All cursed.
Let's
Michael,
drink.
inspired by your fervor, grinned widely. All right, folks, we're about to sample what might be the most mysterious brew in Kentucky Commons history. With a flourish, Katie Jo carefully popped the cork. A dense cold mist spilled out, enveloping the table. When it cleared, 4 glasses were filled with a dark amber liquid. To adventure and the possibility of an afterlife, John toasted with a wink. The crew sipped tentatively. The taste was otherworldly, rich, deep flavors intertwined with a chill that seemed to seep into their very souls. Seep, whatever. Suddenly, the room shifted. The walls faded away, replaced by pews and stained glass windows. The hymns grew louder, and the sobbing transformed into clear, mournful singing. The crew now found themselves standing in the middle of the Pentecostal church, spectral partitioners filling the seats, their eyes fixed upon these new intruders. What do? Approach the pulpit and try to communicate and understand this ghostly congregation, or search for an exit. We have 2 more choices, aiming to escape the spectral realm that they've been drawn into. Do we approach the pulpit and try for politicking, or do we just fucking run?
All right, do whatever. Yeah, I'm leading. I'm following you.
This is our church now. Approach the pulpit. I'm very excited about this.
I am too. I feel like there's a tie-in, but if I die, it's fine, guys.
I said make sure David dies.
Okay.
I didn't really say that. I said either let all of us get out alive if we make the right choices, let half of us die, or we all die if we do whatever. All right. Summoning their courage, the group moved as one towards the pulpit. The spectral congregation watched in eerie silence, their mournful eyes never leaving the crew. Katie Jo, clutching the mysterious bottle, led the way. As the pulpit stood, a figure distinct from the others, older, a pastor, his spirit shimmering with an ethereal light, gazed upon them, a mixture of sadness and understanding in his eyes. "Why have you come?" he intoned, his voice echoing through the ghostly church. We didn't mean to intrude," Michael stammered. We were just tasting some brews."
Just tasting some brews, bro. That's all.
The pastor pointed to the bottle. "That brew is a relic from a time long past, connecting realms once widely separated." David whispered, Are we dead?" "No," replied the pastor, "but you've bridged the veil." Ask the pastor how to return to our world. Inquire about the history of the bottle and of the church, and seek understanding before trying to leave.
What do you all think?
I'm following you.
That's so dangerous.
I already thought we were dead, so.
Yeah, I thought this was like a lost episode, honestly. But
Let's learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these people?
We wish to seek understanding, chat.
Did you tell ChatGPT that this was a Pentecostal church? Did you
No,
like,
I don't understand. This must be spirit boxing. Isn't ChatGPT the new spirit box?
okay, I'm not gonna lie. I have tried doing that with ChatGPT, and I don't know. Maybe. We don't know how any of this works.
We don't know how any of this works.
We do know that ChatGPT will make up fallacies for the point of fulfilling the purpose of the
so
question.
does the human consciousness.
Nah.
Ooh.
You talked about confirmation bias earlier.
This is not past a Turing test, like even remotely close.
Katie Jo stepped forward, her voice steady despite its surreal circumstances. "Before we leave, we need to understand, what is the story of this bottle and this church?" The pastor's spectral form shimmered as he began his tale. "This church, in its prime, stood as a beacon of hope, but there were some disagreements among the congregation. The bottle that you hold was a symbol of unity, filled with the first homebrew crafted in this community. It was meant to bring It was meant to bring people together." Muller's now dead. They all killed Muller.
Did they?
Well, I'm gonna actually say Muller said this is lame at the end. We'll see what happens. It was meant to bring people together and share in the joy of communion. He paused.
So is
his
it blood?
gaze drifting to the congregation, whose expressions were a mix of sorrow and longing. A rift grew between the believers. Some wanted to modernize, while others clung to the old traditions. The bottle was forgotten, and with it the unity that it represented. When the church was abandoned, so were we, trapped between realms. David's eyes filled with sympathy. "And now?" "Now," the pastor sighed. "You've given us a moment to be remembered. You can share our story." Offer to pour a sample for the pastor and his congregation, symbolically sharing this moment of unity. Politely ask the pastor to guide you back, ensuring that the bottle is sealed and its power remains contained. Let Muller say, "This is lame."
Wait, so can he say it's lame and then we share it with the pastor?
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Michael says, "This is lame." Katie Jo shares the bottle with the pastor. Thank you, chat.
I'm thrilled. Like I want to know what the conclusion is.
Well, I told it to do 8. This is number 8, so we'll see if this ends. Katie Jo, always the brave heart, nodded in agreement. This bottle was meant to unite. Let's honor its original purpose. She approached the pastor, pouring a spectral serving into an ethereal glass. The liquid glinted, catching the otherworldly light. As the pastor took a sip, the entire church was illuminated. The hymn transformed into a joyous chorus, filling the spaces with warmth and harmony. One by one, the congregation stepped forward, each sharing in the brew. With every sip, a spirit would smile, their form turning radiant before gradually fading away. Michael, still skeptical, watched in astonishment. This is lame. John and David looked around in wonder, realizing they were witnessing something profound. Redemption and release. Michael reiterated, still lame, I just made that part up. Once the last spirit had peacefully departed, the pastor, now alone, turned to the group. Thank you. Now it's time for all of us to move on.
All of us?
The church faded, and the crew found themselves back in the homebrew shop. The bottle empty, but their hearts full. We might need a different topic for tonight's episode, John finally murmured into the mic. Katie Jo laughed softly. or maybe, just maybe, we've found the most incredible story that we've ever told. The end.
That was beautiful.
That was good.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for entertaining us for that segment.
All right, so if you guys want the prompt, we'll let you guys do your own story. We'll put it in the show notes. You can have your own adventure inside of ChatGPT.
Well, I am actually thrilled by that. That was fun. Thank you for sharing that. But also, I'm excited to see what adventure that Katie brought for us tonight. That's all I'm interested in.
You are a damn soul, Michael Muller.
This is lame.
He was like, "This is the first homebrew of the community." Yeah, it's lame. Katie, what'd you bring?
Jesus was a homebrewer.
I was hoping it was going to be like all of their blood put together and like that's how they all died at the same time and we're all in the pews. Like it didn't say that wasn't the case.
So one of my main criticisms of like ChatGPT, even though I explicitly told it many times, if we make poor choices, don't be afraid to take this incredibly dark. It's reluctant to take it incredibly dark. Yes, it always tries to find like a silver lining. And then like a happy ending.
I thought it was going to be, like Katie said, like a Kool-Aid scenario. I thought we were all
like
just
a Jonestown thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a fun synchronicity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just got my hair done. My hair stylist works on a lot of Louisville Film Society projects and is producing a Heaven's Gate documentary.
So is Louisville Film Society different from 502 Film?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I
don't know.
I am only connected to it through basically slinging beers at Forecastle for their booth.
Okay.
And like I did some modeling back in the day, so that's how I got connected with this hairstylist who is more and more involved. Like she's excellent. Like she's one of the coolest people I know. But I don't know.
Fair enough. Probably.
Did you bring us something that wasn't a mocktail to share?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's bring that up. Maybe this will be more entertaining than ChatGPT.
What are you talking about? I was enthralled by that.
I was on the edge of like my sanity, not really my seat, but yeah. I'm just glad I didn't die in the end. That was pretty good for me.
You guys should be glad that we're not dating because Courtney always likes some stories sometimes. We'll do like bedtime stories or whatever. So I have a whole bot that is like designed for creepy bedtime tales.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because she's like,
anyway, use
an adult.
ChatGPT for intimacy, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm trying to say.
Not recommend that.
I am so into that. Like, sounds so cool. Chat GPT, talk dirty to me.
No, tell me. Well, that would be an interesting experiment in and of itself.
I used to do that with a Cleverbot.
Well, we all did in middle school. Yeah.
What was it? Smart Child on AIM?
Yeah.
You guys lived a different life than me.
You're 20.
Are you 20?
No.
Oh.
I'm in my 20s.
Okay.
David will be 30 soon. We're going to do the whole Louisville L Trail in one day. That's the goal.
So.
Yeah.
So's.
how spooky y'all trying to get.
Yes.
I mean, I have seen a ghost in here before.
Do I need to clear the table?
For real.
Like, let's,
You don't necessarily need to clear the table. So what I have brought today is a spirit box for the Estes method, which I brought up Hellier earlier, and they actually brought the Estes method kind of into the forefront. Oh, smack the microphone. Into the forefront of like paranormal research. So since Hellier came out, a lot more ghost shows started using this method, and it is a basically double-blind way to use a spirit box. So, spirit boxes are like a modern-day Ouija board.
Mhm.
So with Ouija, there's always the issue of, is that dude across from the table moving the planchette? I'm really skeptical of Ouija boards, but in the last session that I did with the team from New Blood and Inhuman Beings on a live stream, we got some really cool stuff through the Ouija that even if someone was messing around, they shouldn't have been giving the answers that people were asking. So we did it like live, so people who were viewers could ask questions and the Ouija board was communicating answers. Really interesting. Another one of those situations where maybe like the power of thought can influence it. Maybe you're not talking to ghosts. Maybe you're talking to, I don't know, old dude 23 on
Or the collective
TikTok.
unconscious.
Right. So spirit box. Okay. Can I turn this on?
Yeah. Hold it up.
So
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
can. Okay. So I'm using a different model than most people probably have seen. So if you've seen a spirit box on the ghost shows, they usually use the longer one.
Those are the bullshit
black.
ones.
They are. No, I really like them. It's just a different model, but it scans radio frequencies either forward or backwards, FM or AM, and it only like you can change the speed that it goes through. But you should only ever be able to hear like one or two words at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a full stinking sentence out of a spirit box while it is scanning at the speed that it scans at, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are going to do is someone who is not me is going to put on this beautiful kitty cat blindfold because it's the only one I had. You want to do this?
David,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always David.
So there's that. And then you're going
I
to
love
put
you,
on
David.
these headphones. So you're not going to be able to see or okay, here. Let me think of how to set this up logistically real quick.
Take your time.
So here's what this sounds like.
Xbox.
It said Xbox. I wanted an Xbox.
S-Box.
Oh.
Spirit box. So it's scanning forward on FM. And I'm going to increase it. So I'm going to turn it off real quick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a jumble. So you might have gotten a really quick like license and registration, or there were some other things that you hear.
I heard David Satterley is about to die.
What?
Was that just me? Anyway, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Sure.
Keep going.
Okay. Do we need to write that down?
No.
You heard
No,
it here
no.
first?
No, that was a joke. David Satterley's going to be fine. That's what I heard.
I hope so.
So one thing that you might catch, and we get this, so we do ghost hunting 101 classes around town. We also do paranormal experience classes where the audience gets to see, they get to do exactly what you're doing. They get to wear the blindfold, they get to wear the headset, and they get to call out what they hear in the spirit box.
Mhm.
So you're not going to hear or see what we're asking, but you're going to call out what you
What you
hear
hear.
through
Okay.
the headphones.
Is there an inline on our recording device?
Yeah, but then David couldn't hear it.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'll just hold it up to my or your
So
mic,
no
whoever's
one
close
else
enough.
is going to be able to hear this.
We'll be able to hear it, but we shouldn't say anything. We should let David
No,
say what he hears.
we are not going to be able to hear
but
this.
if we ask questions and if we kind of whisper into the mic, he won't be able to hear what we're saying because he no longer has the headphones on.
Right.
Yeah, so we could ask a question. We could push play on that. Only David
no,
won't be
you
able to
can't
hear.
push play on this.
Well, we would allow David to start hearing by bringing it to the mic. And then
let Katie explain what's
So
going on.
yeah.
no one but David is going to hear this.
Okay.
No one. So
Okay,
this
all right.
we're going to plug this in, and he is going to be the only one who can hear it. Now, I don't want to blow his ears out.
I also can't see anything.
Good. So you can't read our lips, right? You can't see us well enough to read our lips.
No, we're pretty dark in here.
So wait, how can you hear me if you don't have your headphones on?
They're not noise canceling.
Oh, I'm not quiet. So we can, is there a way, once that's on and going, it will be loud enough. So I don't want to blow his ears out. Let's see.
Let's do a little trial.
Tell me if this is too loud, like scream or something.
The scream. He looks okay.
Can you hear the S box?
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Okay.
Oh, now I can't hear shit.
All right.
Okay. Is it too loud?
So it to David, it sounds like person who got the battery to the camera.
Let Katie explain.
So now we're going to let him call out a couple of words that he hears
Before we even
start asking
just say
questions.
what you hear, David.
There's a lot going on in here.
Say
When you
anything
hear
you can make
something
out.
like distinguishable, just call it into the mic.
Even if it's not distinguishable, call out what you think you hear.
It sounds like you're like rotating through frequencies.
You are. When you were talking about getting
But I'm trying to like
through frequencies, that's what
listen
it is.
to see if there's like a pattern of speech.
There's not going to be.
Just let it speak to your subconscious. Just call out whatever words come into your mind.
It's funny. We can kind of hear through his headphones, so I know he can't hear us very well.
It's a foreign language. It's kind of like Caribbean, maybe.
Oh, powers.
He's going deep.
Oh, powers that abound in this homebrew shop.
So one of the problematic things about doing this around town with spirit boxes in Louisville,
Just keep calling him out when you hear him.
anything. And so every once in a while, we'll get 2 or 3 of them at the same time. And
Enter a new car.
every single time we have done this, someone has been like, Tony Melito. And so Tony Melito.
So
a new
much
car.
foreign
Yes.
language.
All right. So should we ask like specific questions
Yeah,
or like
anything. So like,
well, David Satterley is one of my best friends, and he's a guy
This
who
is equal parts frustrating as it is confusing.
only say what you hear the spirits telling you. He's a person who is on a quest right now for his new direction in life.
he's wearing.
Spirit.
We're gonna get lunch soon.
We're looking for guidance about David for what can lead him into the new direction
Smart devices.
of his life. What does he need to take? He is a technologist. He does technology, and he does get a lot of lunches with people.
Does he want to get
Spirits,
lunch?
please help David understand what is his goal. What should he be focused on every morning when he wakes up to lead him to the path that we want him to walk on?
Robotech.
Holy shit! This is Rocco's Basilisk all over again. Give him a few more words of encouragement. So that's a very general.
I'm just wondering if he's gonna find a job, because right now he's on.
Well, he doesn't need a job. He needs like a.
What job do you want, David?
Yeah, what job do you want?
Lots of laughing.
Wait.
Holy shit!
Wake up. That was one.
Podcast host. Okay, so David wants to do a job with lots of laughing.
Tilfred.
Tilford?
New music.
Okay. So give him some guidance about exercises or things that he can be doing
To get a new job.
pragmatically.
Good direction.
Okay, what would be a good direction for David to follow? What does he need? What is his guiding star to follow in this direction forward? What is the direction? What is the path? What are the guideposts that will lead him towards his ideal future in life? Towards what we all want for him in this world.
He's talking about
Okay, someone just said Indiana.
Holy shit. No! No, take him off! They're cursed! It's Sam Cruz. He's tapping in.
Who's Sam?
He's an Indiana guy.
Oh.
All right, he's not going to Indiana Spirit, so you better back the fuck off. He's staying here in Kentucky.
Wait,
what else can he do? What else? Okay.
Someone also just said podcast.
All right. Convince David that he needs to invest all of his life savings into this podcast. This is the way forward.
That's a question.
Look, spirits, don't give him any information. Make him do what we want him to do. Tell him that he needs to invest all of his money into furthering the Kentucky Commons Radio Hour podcast.
Give us a number.
Give us a number. Yeah.
Does he have money to invest?
I mean, we're going to assume so until the spirits tell us otherwise.
Give us a number, David. How much do you want?
This is not working. Okay, let's assume he has no money.
Hold on. So you're supposed to give 7 to 10 seconds
Okay,
between
okay,
questions
okay.
to give it time to process. Because like sometimes
Space and flight.
Ooh, the aerospace industry.
Because we need more space in between
And?
questions.
and
Give us a number. How much to invest?
oh, I can tell he's okay. So there's a hump that everyone has.
Keep it.
When they're sounds like
I know what that means.
so there's a hump that people experience when they're getting into the spirit box, and he like you can tell by his body language. Like at first he was kind of like this, and he was like, "Oh my god, this is overwhelming." But like once you kind of like submit to the spirit box, you relax and start calling out.
Oh, there's something that is like overarching this, but it's only coming through in spurts.
Just keep saying what you're hearing. Just keep saying what you're hearing.
By the way,
Okay.
So like watch, he is having a conversation that we can't see. You can see him like nodding and being like,
So what questions is he asking too? Is like
it's loud in here,
okay, sorry.
okay, so
but you can leave.
We should all just leave and just
And I know you're here.
see that is an
Please.
unusual amount of words to come through because you guys heard how fast that's scanning. Like that is unusual. I would almost switch gears to the spooky.
Now there's a thing.
Is this thing something that has been in this building?
To bring someone on the interior?
Okay. Yes. That's a yes. It's in the building, in the interior.
Who are we talking to?
Easy? Looking forward to it?
Who are we talking to?
Any name or that you'd like to reveal?
See, it's funny because he can't hear us, but you could see him being like, oh. And sometimes
They're going to give us something?
Who and what?
Just who? What do you want to give to us?
Do you want us to give you something?
Or what should we ask for?
Are you here?
Are you here?
Are you trapped?
Wait, this is going backwards. We're supposed to be the ones.
Technically, yes. I'm here every day, Spirit. I do sometimes feel trapped in this homebrew shop.
So this is also the time around these things that we start noticing electronic issues. So like,
You're here,
this is when the car alarms start going off. This is when lights start to go funky. This is when batteries drain. Good night. We're still talking. Don't go away. Would you like to continue?
call out. Holy shit. I have to take this off.
All right. So, okay.
That was not okay.
No. We were actually having a conversation with you. You'll hear it in the post.
Okay.
Tell us what you were hearing and what you think the overarching whatever. Just give us talk about what you were hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Okay.
You'll hear it. It's a little strange.
You started asking us questions, man. We were supposed to be asking you questions.
I heard questions.
Oh.
Everything I said back into the mic is what was coming through on my ears.
Yeah. You were just repeating what you were hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, it was a little fuzzy, but yeah.
That's what you were saying.
I mean, we can always cut this out, but may I try?
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's too cumbersome for the podcast.
And like, so seriously, like this is what we bring into different businesses.
You gotta wear the cat blindfold.
That's right.
So we typically, I mean,
There was so much noise. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then like you don't really sort it out, and then kind of do at some point. It's pretty bizarre.
is it all right if I like plug what Boo812 does here?
Please.
So we are going to have a couple different events coming up around the Halloween season. October 7th, we will be doing a paranormal experience ghost hunt class in Corridon at the store Realm. It's there on the historic square. They have told us that there's some activity there, what we typically do is we start out by doing a little session for ghost hunting, talk about the history, our methods, what we learned in academia versus what we're doing just kind of in the field. Then we do EVP sessions with the whole crowd, and then we break out these spirit boxes in the Estes method session. Sometimes we get up to 3 of these going at the same time, and they talk to each other. So it's really interesting. It's, like I said, it's like a Ouija board, but it is digital, I guess.
Yeah, to be clear, I've never done that. I don't know what that is, and I could not have possibly fabricated things that were coming out of that.
So do we want to wait till he comes back?
Nah.
Okay. Don't make any spooky stuff happen. Did I blow your ears? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It can be louder.
Is it okay? So it's at 0 now. Turning it up.
All right. I mean, it's gonna also be determined on how loudly you talk to, but yeah, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
I could barely hear anybody. So.
Okay.
We live
Oh shit! He's already hopping in. Okay.
reality.
Oh, Michael's going for it. Okay. So.
Stop.
No. Sorry. Usually.
So were
we're
you guys
gentler
talking
about
through this when I was doing?
Yeah,
it?
we were
Yes.
asking
What
questions
the
of the
fuck?
spirits.
Yeah.
So we all know that Michael Moore is a guy who's very driven by success. He's very on the ball. What breaks does he need to take? Where should his life
Pause. Speak.
Oh,
What? Okay, so when he's
Out there.
when he's taking a pause from his drive to work so hard and do everything for everyone, where can he focus his
Speak.
attention to make himself more at ease and more in peace, and do
In here.
more for the broader community that he loves so much? Where can he focus his attention?
So
Mhm.
children.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Humble.
Uh-huh.
humility. Great concept there. I should have prepared questions. This is
I
great.
am.
Just ask what you think Michael needs to hear in his subconscious, or what you'd be curious
Or
to
ask things about the building, because if you've seen a ghost here, it
Mhm.
might be something in here
That could
you
be
want to interact
What in the
coming through.
world?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the history here? Is this
So-
really 1800s or is this more 1900s?
Your voice.
That annoys you? Yeah.
Pink.
Pink?
Was this building previously pink? There's kind of like a salmon-y color on the
Cold.
It
exterior.
was cold.
Yeah, that sounds cold.
Stop.
Okay. Well,
Are you a particular individual, or is this more of a collection in Muller's
Stop.
unconscious? Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna ref here real
Yep.
quick.
Go
it.
for it.
So a lot of times when we start these,
Touch.
a lot
You
of
made a
times
tea.
I did make a tea. So,
Man.
no, I'm not
I'm
touching
sorry.
men.
That was me.
I'm gonna. Auto parts.
Keep going.
So usually we do almost like an invitation. So if we're in a location supposed to be haunted, or if we're just inviting spirits to follow
Please.
people around, or whatever you believe, we say, and I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into
Stop.
the spiel. We are here with the spirit of communicating
You're
with you.
just.
We're not here to make a performative art out of this. We truly do want to communicate with you. We respect
Hey.
that this is where you are. This
And
is
I'm here
where
with you
fit.
every day. I would love to hear about it. I'm here with you.
97.
97. We welcome
Witches.
97 witches. We welcome
Kill.
you to talk. No. We welcome you to come talk to us. We would like to engage in some exciting communication with you as long as you are open to it. So we are going to ask you some questions. Please respond through the
Past
box
27.
and through Michael.
1927.
Stop.
Is there anyone in here that would like to continue talking to us?
I select Stop.
I select
England.
England.
Are there any questions
Today.
you would like us to ask you? Is there anything you want to share, information that you need out there that you wish you had expressed or that you'd like to express through or to Michael Moore?
The madman.
That's you, John.
I have journaling. Please.
Two pleases.
Get back.
Get back.
Questions.
Get back to questions. Okay, so we
Okay.
took a long pause.
Sure.
there.
Okay. Are you familiar with the state of the world today? People listening to this, this whole entire generation feels like the world is on a precipice. What message did the people of today need to help pull society back, to help get everything back into order,
Keep going.
to help humanity survive into the future, to keep going?
That's a heavy question to put on one ghost.
They know. They would know more than us.
Maybe.
A little.
What do you think? What little do you know? What wisdom would you impart?
Call out to be raise.
Everyone should get raises. That's what I
Somebody.
agree. Yeah. Who should get a raise?
So you know.
Or what should be raised?
Wait.
Wait, let's all gain weight.
Well, it's because you keep
No.
asking 3 questions before
Well,
they
we're trying to
answer.
communicate here. We're trying to communicate. How about a parting message for Michael Mueller?
So we know.
Give him a little bit of guidance and a little bit of clarity.
In
on-
warm air. Up top.
hot air balloon ride?
What color is the refrigerator?
With wings.
Mothman.
What's next?
What color is the refrigerator?
No, that's too specific. See, that's
Stop.
mean.
Stop.
Sometimes they do it
Stop.
though. Sometimes you can be like, "What color shirt am I wearing?" And they'll be like,
I think
Daughter.
that's mean. I find that mean.
"But if they're here with us and they're staring at
Sure. I feel like that would be the most pedantic thing to talk about, though. It would be like the color of the refrigerator.
You're
An
not,
apology.
You're not listening.
apology."
Yeah, you need to listen.
Sorry, we didn't mean to offend you by asking you the color
I don't
of the
know.
refrigerator. Oh,
Okay,
okay,
fair.
that's fair.
History.
So tell us about the history. What's the history of this building?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
What happened? What was it?
What was it?
It was like a very clear voice all of a sudden, and I didn't like that one.
What did it say?
What did it say?
I don't remember. I'm good.
It's bad.
It was,
Like-
You're gonna have fun re-listening to this one.
It got very, very like just clear all of a sudden.
Yeah, 5 to 6 minutes, and you start hearing
You
it.
start.
Like,
That's
all
exactly
the
what
way
you
we
were
through.
cap
saying.
it at 10.
Yeah.
We won't let anyone stay in this for longer than 10 because you really do trance out, and it is,
it's pretty absurd.
dude. Some people get so sucked into it. You want to go?
Well, is it going to be good content at this point? How
Yeah.
about I do like 2 or 3 minutes?
The best part, well, you won't talk through the whole thing. So
I will. I'll just be like talking about the spirits.
All right, so I'm going to turn this all the way down.
Yeah, when it just got like really crystal clear at the end, I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And,
I need
and
the,
all I
I
know
need
is
the,
it said stop like 5 times.
Blindfold.
that's when I ripped it off too.
I do love that it's a cat blindfold too. That helps a lot.
Whew.
All right, so you guys can go wherever you'd like to go. I just pushed a button. I hope that doesn't fuck it up. I might have fucked it up. Let's see.
Oh, I don't have it. I didn't have
okay.
the volume on.
Okay, I can hear it.
Okay, tell me when you can't hear me.
Perfect.
Okay.
Music.
Okay.
What are the
Can you hear any questions we're asking? Can you
chop
hear
my
me?
head?
Shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I allowed to cuss on
Yeah.
100,000.
100,000. All right.
It goes good here.
Is somebody here right now?
A fish.
Is there somebody other than the four of us here?
Definitely fun.
Definitely fun. Are you having fun?
We have to come.
We're not having that much fun.
Today?
Something. I missed it.
Somebody
Partaking of the kind of the 16th of.
Do you want to go somewhere or do something?
So you're just. Is it possible to slow down the traveling through the frequencies a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. So I just knocked you down one.
I'm hearing a lot.
You will.
There we go. Perfect.
Two? Okay. So
Creating.
so he is at a 2 out of 4 speed, and Michael and David, you guys were at 4 out of 4 speed. You guys were going the fastest.
I felt
Citronella.
like that was fast.
You know what
Yeah.
we will do?
No, I don't. What are we gonna do?
Opera music.
We're gonna
Are you naming themes or like what the words?
Or questions?
Some people just
Hey,
straight up
Kim.
sing.
Who's is
Come to the walk-in and change me.
are these Nirvana lyrics?
I'm having a really.
Boys start licking in direct line of Porter.
I think we need to pull him out.
Yeah,
Princes.
I think you're done.
Is there,
Holy shit. Only you can rejuvenate the lost philosophy.
Okay. Wow.
let's go simpler. Is there anybody
You
else?
ever feel like you're just your financial
I feel like this is you normal talking.
ooh.
I
Ooh.
love it
Love.
when people do that. Some people would like sing.
I wish
lyrics
upon
in
a
here.
star.
We had someone one time go up yours and just like like she said it as she heard it. So
It's often chronic, yeah.
yeah, it is.
If there's a spirit here, do you know how
Lots
much?
of
Do you know how much beer John drinks?
there are no closing costs.
Uh-oh. Are we gonna have? Do you know?
How is it then?
It's a lot.
Do we know if there's going to be any trouble?
Unlimited terms.
Yeah, unlimited beers. That's how many John drinks.
You said 7 seconds in between. like-
Air one.
usually, but he's going super fast, so just kind of you can play it by ear with him.
On the iHeartRadio app.
He's gonna get a Tony Melito, I bet.
I just want to know if there's somebody else in this
Your
room.
doctor should be offering romantic comedies in Andrew,
Big Pharma translate to Spirit Box.
Kentucky.
I can, I guess.
Oh,
Oh. Is there something you'd like to say?
you've been called to it now, believe.
How often are you in this building?
My God, he's being quiet.
Are you here every day?
Social engineering. Everyone goes to a vehicle.
Via Tony Melito. Deal for the people.
So hurry in.
Oh no.
Don't stop there.
Okay, sorry.
Toyota-thon.
Push it. Push you. It's super easy. You can go until someday
Do you come here every day?
there's something like that.
So just, do you come here often?
For the weird ones.
All right.
Anything?
Yeah, tap out.
Anything interesting? Or is it just random?
I mean, I
It was
couldn't-
more like you were telling us a story than us asking and
Yeah.
getting responses. But
sorry.
that's sometimes how it goes. So that's the beauty of the spirit.
So-
box.
we don't know how much we're going to end up putting out into the internet. What we just all witnessed between the three of us, it may just be one of us, but we all three experienced it. And I think we all three can kind of agree that it was a little At first, I mean, David, how would you? It's just kind of loud and busy and just chaotic at first, and then
unnerving is probably the.
Well, wait till you go back and listen to the things we were asking you, and then how you were responding.
That's the part that terrifies.
It's very unnerving.
I honestly, out of the three of you, I feel like you had the best connection.
Oh,
I agree.
motherfucker.
It took you a minute to get into it, but you definitely seemed.
When it started becoming super clear,
It's scary.
it's not a natural feeling.
Do people just ever sit at home and just like listen to that stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
so
I'm definitely not one of them.
But if there's no one to ask questions, how does it work?
So you would mentally ask questions
Yeah.
and then seek your own responses. I mean, there's people. When I say we pull people after 10 minutes, people get really messed up by that. Like it is just sensory overload. So like in the same way, sensory deprivation kind of resets your system. So does this, just in the opposite direction.
I would love to look at the timestamp and see about how long that was going on, because it felt like an extremely long time.
I would say you were in there like 4 minutes,
Maybe.
4 or 5 minutes,
4 or 5 minutes.
4 minutes.
It wasn't super long.
Yeah.
You were close. You were close.
Okay.
But you're right. There's a point to where like the static just kind of seems to fade away, and then all of a sudden that's all you can hear is just like clear voice. At least in my experience, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know I think David's is probably going to end up on there. I'm not sure if John and mine's will. That was
had some good
very
ones.
You had some
fun.
good ones.
You had some good ones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, thank you for sharing that S-Box experience. It's way better than an Xbox. That was actually really interesting. I never knew that existed before. So thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
That's really something. Sorry, I'm still kind of just like weirded out, I guess. a little
Yeah,
bit.
totally.
We just hand Katie the show notes and
Yeah.
have her finish it.
Here, talk about Louisville Beer Week, Katie.
There's beer for a week.
There you go.
I think I know the theme.
Yeah.
I think
What?
the world beers.
Yes, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going global. David, why don't you tell us a little bit about our Beer Week collab?
I haven't flipped over the sheet, but I am now. We've been announcing the Louisville Beer Week collaborations. It's a random collaboration between two breweries in Louisville. We paired up all of them this year, and we've been announcing them on the show week by week. So for the 6th week, we are announcing the collaboration of Fall City and Mile Wide Beer Company. These are two brands that are big staples in Louisville. Fall City, a historic brand that's been rejuvenated and revived, and Mile Wide that's been around for about 7 years now, who we actually went to Great Taste in the Midwest with. I know that Fall City leans into a more rustic style. They like doing traditional beers. Mile Wide debuted with, lots of hazy IPAs. They're kind of on the cutting edge of that trend and still continue it to this day. So maybe it's like an old meets new type deal. I don't know.
And it's going to be fun for them both because they each have a pretty large system to brew on. And so, I'm taking bets right now. Where are they going to brew this thing? Is it going to be at Fall City or is it going to be at Mile Wide? Who knows?
Mile Wide.
Mile Wide, yeah, maybe. Katie, do you know anything about Fall City or Mile Wide?
Nope.
All right. Well,
Good beer.
Beer Week is for you. It's a chance for you to discover all the new breweries that have opened up over the last, multiple years because Louisville's whole city landscape has changed. I'm still a little flustered, obviously, from the experience. I can't really talk right now. John, you're very good at talking. Let's wrap this up. What are you looking forward to most this week, and what do I got to plug?
So the thing that I will shout out is a book that I read a while back that came up to me during this podcast. If you guys have ever been on YouTube, especially for the British Museum YouTube channel, and if you've ever seen a old gentleman, very handsome, very funny, very quippy with a big long beard, that is Irving Finkel. He's a Sumerian anthropologist, linguist. There's a game with him and Tom Scott, I believe, like playing the oldest board game ever discovered. He wrote a book a few years ago that will be my shout out called Irving Finkel's The First Ghosts. And essentially he went through all of those like hundreds of thousands of just now decipherable Sumerian tablets, and they're chock full of ghost stories. Like the Sumerians, were the first people who learned how to who invented writing that has been passed down to us today. Half the stuff they wrote about was ghost stories, and so he went through and kind of documented some of the ones that were standout, but then also in that like collective unconscious mentality, went through and kind of tried to identify the themes that were holding all of these like ghost stories together. It's an audiobook and he narrates it. It's on Audible. It's an exceptionally cool book. The First Ghost, the Most Ancient of Legacies by Irving Finkel.
David, what do you got to plug?
My plug for the week is probably like not something that you would suppose, but it's cheese.
Yeah, we like cheese. We like cheese.
Cheese is amazing. Went to Wisconsin. Went to a amazing cheese shop called Fromagination. I would recommend everybody stop in there. It's in the square in Madison, Wisconsin. And you go in there and there's a whole guide. It's like, you don't know what you're doing. We know that. We're going to give you something. So you go through and you taste a bunch of cheeses. They tasted us last year, this year, and even gave us some things that were just entirely too spicy. But the end result was a massive heaping bag of delicious cheese of all varieties that I will never be able to get again unless I go back to Wisconsin. So big fan of cheese. I've been like rewarding myself every night. Like if I do my like house chores, I could just have a little cheese.
Isn't that's what I do with my dogs too? So that's good.
I'm
Dogs do your
Pavloving.
chores?
Yeah. I wish.
I'm Pavloving myself.
Yeah, that's what we want.
On my end, just in general, Bourbon Beyond, that's coming up September 14th through 17th. Really excited. That's been really fun to go to the last couple of years when they've actually had it going on. And big Brandy Carlisle fan, and she's going to be headlining on Thursday, the 14th. Train, Billy Strings, if you're into that. The Killers the next night, Black Keys the other night. Also Ava Brothers on Saturday night. If you're into like Bruno Mars, that'd be fun. I know John really likes Spoon. They're going to be there.
Hell yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. Genuinely, like this is going to be a fun 4-day experience. Katie, have you ever been to Bourbon Beyond? Or
No, I haven't.
Any of these names, strike your fancy?
I feel like Train is underrated.
The
Train
only-
is a banger.
The only song that I acknowledge from Train is Drops of Jupiter.
Fucking good song.
Yeah.
I had
It's
their
great.
whole CD. They had a couple solid albums.
I think you just dated yourself.
I don't get it. Yeah, that's a fine with
I mean,
me.
there was a guy who used to send me Train songs as like a way of flirting, so it kind of ruined Train for me because
Yeah.
I was not into him, and therefore not. I had to be like, this song sucks. Why did you send this? I didn't have to be that way, but I was that way.
Now
We-
that
we
you're
were- we
back
were all
in the
there.
Atmosphere.
Drops of Jupiter in her hair.
Okay, Michelle Branch is gonna be there.
Okay.
Baller. Yeah.
I think there's a few on here that I really like. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, I hope
A lot of them.
I hope to see you there. Maybe
We should have asked the Spirit Box if they knew
If they
the
had
band.
tickets to
Yeah.
Okay.
Bourbon and Beyond.
We need to tell the spirits goodbye, or you're gonna get in trouble
Oh
on your
yes.
show.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
so
so-
spirits that we are communicating with.
Yeah, I think she's probably the most qualified to do this.
So, I mean, everyone's qualified to say goodbye. But thank you for speaking with us today, to the spirits in this building and to the spirits outside of this building. We appreciate the time you spent with us and the insight you provided and the insight that you have not provided yet, but that we're going to find out.
And we appreciate you being here with us today, Katie, and the insight that you provided. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.